Schwarzenegger walks into the room. I'm back. Watch out, Denmark. Mother, come here. I love you. Big kiss for you. Sorry, you're dead. Look over here. I'm going to do another speech, but first, I'm going to tear through a wall and flex my nipples. Don't be afraid of me. Don't be afraid.
Nobody breaks celebrities like Robin Williams. Most comedians make audiences laugh. Robin Williams made other comedians forget they were professionals. He walked into rooms and the people who were supposed to be in control, the hosts, the interviewers, the directors, the fellow actors, immediately stopped functioning.
I had a waxing for a movie, and they had two girls waxing me. And at one point they went, do you mind if we take a break?
Nobody in the history of entertainment broke people the way Robin Williams broke people. And the best part is that he never seemed to be trying. He just arrived. The talk show takeover. Every talk show host has a plan, an outline, a question list, a sense of where the conversation is going. Robin Williams made every single one of those irrelevant within 90 seconds of sitting down. Johnny Carson maintained composure through 30 years of television. He had hosted everyone. And yet when Robin Williams came through that curtain, Carson would sit back in his chair and essentially stop being a host. He became an audience member in his own studio CEO, watching something he couldn't keep up with and had no intention of trying to interrupt.
Somebody, I guess, has done a little political shopping. It's very difficult. You see people going, yeah, man, it's for Rodney King, and the 5 TVs are for me.
Those were consistently some of the most watched segments in the show's history. Not because of Carson, because of what Carson understood enough to get out of the way of. Letterman, Leno, Conan, every one of them has described the specific feeling of Robin sitting down across from them. The moment the questions became irrelevant, the moment the format of the show simply ceased to apply.
Are you awake? He said he'd be just lying there going, yeah, I feel like Flipper again. Like.
The genie no script could contain. When Disney approached Robin Williams to voice the genie in Aladdin, they gave him a script. What they got back was something that they weren't remotely prepared for. Robin recorded for so long and went so far beyond the written material that Disney walked away with over 16 hours of footage for a character in a film that runs under 90 minutes. The animators redesigned sequences to accommodate things he had improvised in the booth. His contract had to be renegotiated because what he delivered bore so little resemblance to what had been commissioned. The directors described watching the recordings and realizing they had no framework for what was happening. They stopped directing, they just let him go, and tried to catch as much as they could. The genie became one of the most beloved animated characters in cinema history. The script was a starting point. Robin built an entire world on top of it.
You need more power, Jim.
Don't be afraid. You had it all along.
I never did it. I am not at fault.
Inside the actor's studio, James Lipton built a career on taking performers seriously, long, thoughtful, reverential conversations. His show was famous for its gravity and its intellectual depth. Then Robin Williams sat down. Within minutes, Lipton was laughing so hard he could barely form questions. The audience was in tears. The format, the whole careful structure of the show, evaporated. What was left was just Robin, filling every available space with something that hadn't existed a second before he thought of it.
Are you okay? Okay. It's all right. Baby Jesus loves you. Baby Jesus loves you.
The Christopher Reeve story. This one is different. When Christopher Reeve was paralyzed in 1995 and woke up in hospital terrified and uncertain about whether life was still worth living, Robin Williams showed up. He didn't send flowers, he didn't call, he walked into the hospital room dressed as a Russian doctor, speaking in a thick accent, claiming he needed to perform a rectal exam. Reeve, who hadn't laughed in weeks, laughed so hard he said in that moment he knew he was going to be okay. They had been best friends since their first week at Juilliard in 1973. That friendship never changed. It just got quieter when it needed to, and louder when it mattered most.
I just want to thank also a very, very special person tonight. Chris Reeve, I miss you. And I also say, may flights of angels sing thee to thy rest, sweet prince. Good night.
The Steven Spielberg calls. While filming Schindler's List in 1993, one of the darkest projects any director has ever undertaken, Steven Spielberg reached a point where the weight of the material became genuinely difficult to carry. Robin Williams called him, regularly, not to check in, to perform. Full characters, full voices, full improvised scenes delivered down a phone line to a man standing in Krakow surrounded by the recreation of one of history's worst horrors. Spielberg later said those calls were what got him through it. That is what Robin Williams did. He found the exact person in the exact moment of darkness and brought light that was specific to them.
Let's tell a story of something to me. Because I told him he couldn't stand up and say, I want to see your genitals.
My eyes, wait
Here
a
we go
second.
again. We'll never see this.
Elvis playing.
Hey, Elvis. Elvis?
I have a thought. Thank you very much. We'll sing a song right now. Probably some Nutty Buddies and.
This is the other problem with making the movie. Talking about how hard it was laughing. The laughing hurt. The laughing hurt in the sides, in the throat.
And in the back, in the mind.
Good Will Hunting the Park Bench. The script for Good Will Hunting had words on a page. What Robin Williams delivered on the park bench was something else entirely. The monologue he gave Matt Damon, the one that changed the direction of the film, and the direction of that character was substantially built in the room. Gus Van Sant largely let the camera run. What's on screen is less a performance than a man thinking out loud in a way that happened to be exactly right. Damon has talked about sitting across from Robin in those moments and not knowing where the scene was going because Robin didn't know yet either. He was discovering it in real time. That's what made it land.
You know the first thing about how hard your life has been, how you feel, who you are. Because I read Oliver Twist. Does that encapsulate you?
What other comedians said, the thing comedians said about Robin Williams, consistently and across decades, is that he made them feel like amateurs. Not in a crushing way, in an awe-inspiring way. Billy Crystal talked about watching Robin work and feeling like he was watching someone operating on a frequency nobody else could access. Steve Martin said something similar. Jonathan Winters, Robin's idol. The man Robin called the foundation of everything he did once watched Robin perform and said quietly that he had been surpassed.
Jonathan Winters is the reason I became a comedian. I remember watching him with my father.
Robin Williams knew he had been given something rare. He spent his entire life giving it away as fast as it arrived.
You know, it's the greatest mind I've ever been around because it was so terrifyingly fast.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, on stage with him when we did all his comic reliefs and all these other things we did in clubs. And Jimmy, our phone calls were amazing late at night, hours.
The hospital visits. For years, quietly, Robin Williams visited children's hospitals. No cameras, no press, no announcement. He would show up in character, different characters for different wards, adapted in real time to whoever was in the room, and spend hours with kids who were scared and in pain. The nurses and doctors who witnessed it described the same thing every time. Children who hadn't smiled in days would break into laughter so complete it seemed to temporarily suspend whatever was happening to their bodies. Parents sitting at bedsides who had been holding themselves together for weeks would collapse into tears not of grief, but of a kind of relief they hadn't been able to access before he walked in. He never talked about it publicly. He didn't consider it newsworthy. It wasn't material. It wasn't a story he wanted told. It was just what he did when nobody was watching, which turned out to be one of the most consistent and quietly extraordinary things about him.
And your friend's name? What's your friend's name?
Anthony.
Anthony pointed to his name tag like, fool? Fool, read my name tag. Anthony looked over there, shit, check it. I can read that, Anthony. Hold on. Alcarez.
Robin Williams never broke anyone with cruelty. He broke them with something closer to joy, a joy so sudden and so specific and so perfectly aimed that it bypassed every defense a person had and got directly to whatever was real underneath. The thing that makes his story different from most performers who leave behind a catalogue of work is that the catalogue was only part of it. The other part, the phone calls to directors filming in darkness, the hospital rooms with no cameras, the moments when he walked into someone's worst day and simply refused to leave them there, that part was never going to be preserved. he knew that. He did it anyway. Billy Crystal said at Robin's memorial that he was the greatest person he ever knew.
Well, as genius as he was on stage, he was the greatest friend you could ever imagine. Supportive, protective, loving.
Not the funniest, the greatest. That is an extraordinary thing to say about someone who made the whole world laugh. And everyone who heard it understood immediately what he meant. You had to be there. And even if you weren't watching it, you almost feel like you were. Like and subscribe for more on the performers who changed everything. Thanks for watching.